Hey people! Today I want to share with you a great exercise to improve your reading of music. By the way, this exercise is certainly also very helpful for non-drummers. Reading music is not absolutely necessary to become a good drummer, but I find it very helpful. I made a whole video about it and I'll be happy to link it again here and also in the description below. But to sum it up very briefly, there are exercises that are more difficult to grasp, to understand just by explaining with words, just watching or listening. If you see it in the notation, it's just much easier to understand. You can see the structure right in front of you, so to speak. You don't have to keep everything in your head while you're playing. That's one of the main reasons. You can write notes yourself, you can archive things better, and by reading and writing music, I have also found a way to learn a lot of songs by heart in a short time. But whatever your personal goal, this exercise is for everyone who plays with sheet music, even if it may be just occasionally. One thing that is particularly difficult when reading music, especially when you're playing songs, is that you're constantly moving on with your eyes. So something new is always happening, and that's why you sometimes make a mistake, because you're just surprised of what comes next. What's the solution? Of course, that we look a little bit ahead, look further than we are currently playing. That's easier said than done, I know. You have to practice that too. Give it a try. Force you to look one note, two note, maybe even a full bar further than you are playing. You do that, for example, when you give a presentation, when you read aloud. Good speakers look a few words, sometimes even a whole sentence ahead, because in order to find the right intonation, you need to know if the sentence ends with a question mark, for example. You need to know how the sentence ends when you start it. And if we know what's going to happen at the end of the next bar, then we can maybe adjust our sticking accordingly, for example. We're just not surprised. And as always, the best way to learn a technique, a new skill, is to isolate it. Practice just that one thing, and now I'm going to show you how we can best improve that skill. The idea behind this exercise is quite simple. We play backwards, but we're not playing backwards note by note. We're playing backwards bar by bar. In other words, we start with the last measure, but play it from left to right, then jump one measure forward, play it the right way around, and so on and so on. So every bar, our gaze has to jump, and that will only work if you look over early enough. This means that you have to force yourself to look at least 2 quarter notes ahead, preferably the whole bar. Because sometimes it can happen that maybe 2 16th notes are played at the end, and there's a note at the start of the next line. That means you need to know whether or not we continue playing at the beginning of the next bar. You can only know that if you play part of the bar by heart. We're going to use a very simple reading exercise from my third book, Drum Quest Stage 3. I will play one line and show you the notation. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, that was relatively easy. Of course, if it's too easy, you make it just a little bit faster. It is particularly interesting when you play several lines and then you have even bigger leaps in your vision. Or of course, you take more than a pure reading exercise, you take whole grooves. So let's make it a little bit harder. Take different grooves with hi-hat openings and play them backwards now. 1 und 2 und 3 und 4 und So the concept is that simple, but highly effective. Of course, you should do that with whatever you are working on anyway. Then you practice this ability just on the go, simultaneously. That's the idea of this whole series. Always do the exercises in a way that you train other important skills as well. And here you train your sight reading strategy, which ensures that you can better stay in the flow of the music. Because you falter and stop less. Because you know in advance what's coming next. You can stay in the flow longer. It's also more musical. You can plan your stickings, and of course you can also adjust the dynamics. You can simply play more consciously and with more preparation, which is also very important if you're playing in a band. Maybe if you play in a big band or somewhere where you play from sheet music a lot. With this skill, you can sight read more confidently. You can support the band because you always play with foresight. You always know what's going to happen next. Try it. This exercise really helped me a lot. Above all, it also made me more aware that the viewing strategy is actually really relevant when reading music, and that we can also optimize that ourselves. And you get a little more involved with your sheet music this way, when you do more than you have to. I think it's always a good thing when you can do a little bit more than you need to do. So here too, you practice several things at the same time. The sight reading strategy, you train also your concentration, and you remodel what you are practicing anyway and immediately have a variation if you play it backwards. For some exercise, playing the bars backwards might sound just as good or maybe even better. Just try it. Please let me know your experiences in the comments below. And what I would also be very interested in, please write that in the comments as well, which skills you need to play the drums are often not trained and not taught in your opinion. Something that we talked about today, the conscious gaze strategy, is something that I'm sure a lot of people forget. Do you also know any other things, or do you have something that keeps bugging you, and just ask yourself, are there any exercises for this at all? That would be very interesting, and maybe I can even help you. Maybe I will even make a video about it as well. Tell me in the comments. I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care and bye bye.